What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. Now for today's video, I wanted to talk about one of the most awesome Jurassic Park scenes that we unfortunately never got to see. So while they were making the movie, a lot of things got changed from the novel, and one of them being the character and importance of Robert Muldoon, who, get this, not only lives in the Michael Crichton story, but he straight up takes on the raptors and has a whole scene that plays out like it's something from James Cameron's Aliens in the book. Now, as cool as all of that sounds, imagine something just as intense, only instead of velociraptor hunting, swap it out with the T-Rex. So this version of Jurassic Park was pretty early and would have featured the lawyer character of Donald Gennaro actually living longer than he does in the 1993 movie. Robert Muldoon had made his way into the jungle with the lawyer and came across the Tyrannosaur after it had broken out. Now Muldoon pretty much pulls a Roland Timbo here from the Lost World Jurassic Park and successfully shoots the T-Rex with a tranquilizing dart. And that's when things go wildly wrong. The T-Rex turns around to look at Muldoon and roars in defiance at the game warden. Donald Gennaro stands up in the Jeep like, oh no, this ain't good. And then the Tyrannosaur starts to charge. Now here's where things get crazy, guys. Gennaro leaves Muldoon. He straight up backs the Jeep up and just tries to get out of there, leaving the man behind. So Muldoon starts to run after the Jeep while it's backing up, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex is like on top of him because it's just been shot, and this is all happening like super quick in the storyboards. I can imagine it would be a really intense and wild moment to see this thing play out in real time in the movie, especially when it first came out. So Donald Gennaro is swerving around, trying not to screw anything up on his getaway, and Robert Muldoon gets really close to getting to the Jeep, and then suddenly Gennaro loses control of the car and it spins a 180, hitting Muldoon and knocking him back from the vehicle. Muldoon goes flying and lands underneath the Tyrannosaurus Rex while it's still charging after the Jeep. After that, we were supposed to have gotten this insane wide shot of the T-Rex chasing the Jeep and Robert Muldoon's point of view. He actually looks up at the T-Rex while it's passing over him, and in my personal opinion, this looks an awful lot like the scene from Jurassic Park 3, where Alan Grant looks up as the T-Rex walks over him in that movie. Now, at this point, the Jeep stops and the T-Rex tries to attack while Muldoon gets up from the ground. Gennaro slams the thing in reverse and Muldoon rolls underneath the car trying to survive while the T-Rex is still charging. The movie starts to get way more action-packed than I expected here, with the car literally going over Muldoon, and he looks back up to see the Tyrannosaur like right on top of him and about to go in for that kill. Muldoon is able to dive out of the way as the T-Rex scoops up a bunch of dirt and the game warden leaves his hat behind. Now at this point, Gennaro comes back in the Jeep and opens the passenger side door for Muldoon to hop in, but he manages to jump in just as the Tyrannosaur bites down, missing him completely and giving them enough time to haul out of there and escape. The T-Rex stands back up only to roar in defiance at the little Jeep that got away. Muldoon is looking back like, wow, that was kind of insane, and Gennaro says to him in what would have probably been a pretty memorable scene, I'd say you missed. Now, of course, there are shades of this scene that still exist within the original Jurassic Park movie, but instead of Muldoon and Gennaro going in to tranquilize the T-Rex like what happens in the novel, it's Muldoon and Ellie that go out and find Dr. Malcolm. And this leads into the whole must go faster scene where the Tyrannosaurus Rex chases them in the Jeep. Now, that scene is awesome, but I gotta admit, right here, what we just went over, this just looks like it's another legendary scene just waiting to happen. Truthfully though, we kind of did see a version of the beginning of this scene in The Lost World where Roland Timbo tranquilizes the male T-Rex in the film, but all of this stuff right here, it's just incredible to talk about. Just for some context with this scene and why it would have been so impactful had they kept it in the movie, in the book, Robert Muldoon has this kind of antagonistic or just aggressive attitude towards the T-Rex that I think always sounded really entertaining. It's almost like you're just waiting for him to go up against the animal and get a shot in. in. He's even the one that calls the Tyrannosaur Rexy in the Crichton novel, which has unfortunately been appropriated by people for the past 10 years who use it as this cute little nickname for a gigantic bloodthirsty carnivore, but whatever. In the book, Muldoon was like, "Hey Rexy, I'm gonna show you who's on top of the world one day." You know, kind of like that. But speaking of which, there's a whole Jurassic Park issue from Topps Comics that goes over the story of how the T-Rex gets out and starts killing a bunch of stegosaurs, and Muldoon has to go out and capture it. That came out in 96, so yeah, the whole Robert versus the T-Rex thing goes back a long ways, even after the first film came out. In the movie, his relationship with the Velociraptors is way more front and center, and that's probably because the book has this whole section dedicated to him blowing the dinosaurs apart like they're xenomorphs or something, so yeah, I can see why that change happened as well. Now honestly guys, I think that scenes like these are what makes Jurassic Park stand out from the ordinary run-of-the-mill stuff that we see in Hollywood, and I will always like stuff that features a car chase or dinosaur tranquilizing story within a Jurassic Park movie. Now the reason I think this scene got cut was probably for a lot of different changes that happened to the script, which at one point entirely wrote out the Malcolm character by combining him with Alan Grant, and after persuading Steven Spielberg that Ian Malcolm should stay, Jeff Goldblum actually tried to protect his character by having him lead the T-Rex away from Alan Grant and the kids instead of just run cowardly out of the car from the dinosaur, and of course that is what led to Gennaro getting killed. Now the script was probably changed way before all of that stuff happening, but it is important to note that this version of the movie was like wildly different from the Jurassic Park that we ultimately got. Ironically, by the way, the actor that played Gennaro, Martin, he actually tried to save his own character at the time so that he did not get killed by the T-Rex, but of course the movie didn't work out like that and he eventually did get eaten. That's, you know, just kind of what was always supposed to happen, I guess. But in the novel, both he and Muldoon survive the whole thing. Like, they're in the entire Jurassic Park story, while Ian Malcolm seemingly dies, only to get resurrected for the sequel novel that came out in 1995, which, ironically, there we learn that Donald Gennaro died of dysentery, which is hilarious. It's like they just can't stop making toilet jokes. Guys, in my personal opinion, this is one seriously cool piece of Jurassic Park history that I would love to see added into a movie one day in the future. You know, the thing about these old storyboards and all the ideas that Steven Spielberg and the company were working with when Jurassic Park and the Lost World were still very early is just that you've got all of these iconic scenes with tyrannosaurs, velociraptors, dinosaurs in general doing some wild, crazy stuff that I think would still make for some incredibly fun movie moments in the modern age. If they just hunker down, dedicate some seriousness and time and script revisioning to going over this material, there's no reason we can't get a Jurassic Park sequel that is like at the bare minimum as good as the Lost World Jurassic Park or right under the original film. Anyways guys, what do all of you think? What do you think the movie would have been like if they had kept this scene? Do you think Jurassic Park ended up as good as it possibly could have been, even with them cutting it? And what do you think about other alternate versions of the script that changed a lot of the material from the Michael Crichton novel? Robert Muldoon is awesome right here, but hey, whatever your own thoughts and opinions happen to be, I'd love to hear all about them in the comments down below.
Now before I go, I want to thank everyone that's helped me build my channel over the years. I'd also like to thank every one of you guys who've watched my stuff. You've all been extremely cool to me. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a like and hope that you'll consider subscribing. God bless you all. Christ is King. See you guys in the next video, and as always, take it easy.